What a stupid question this is.
Enthusiasm on the other side. Why haven't you been campaigning?
Because I'm leading by a lot and because I'm letting their convention go through.
Donald Trump is not leading by a lot, which is why he called this press conference on Thursday, hoping to right the ship that capsizes every time he or J.D. Vance speak. So to fix it, he spoke for an hour, and unsurprisingly, he made things worse.
And I am campaigning a lot. I'm doing tremendous amounts of taping here. We have commercials that are at a level I don't think that anybody's ever done before. Plus, in certain cases, I see many of you in the room where I'm speaking to you on phones, I'm speaking to radio, I'm speaking to television. Television's coming over here. Excuse me, what are we doing right now? She's not doing any news conference. You know why she's not doing it? Because she can't do a news conference. She doesn't know how to do a news conference. She's not smart enough to do a news conference. And I'm sorry, we need smart people to lead this country.
You'd think that if Trump says the vice president isn't very smart, he'd be excited about running against her. But he still misses Joe. He even wishes he was back.
I'll tell you what, from a constitutional standpoint, from any standpoint you look at, they took the presidency away. And people were saying he lost after the debate. He couldn't win. Well, I don't know that that's true necessarily. But whether he could win or he couldn't win, he had the right to run. And they took it away. They said they're going to use the 25th Amendment. They're going to hit you hard. Either we can do it the nice. I know exactly, because I know a lot of people on the other side, believe it or not. And they said, we'll do it the nice way or we'll do it the hard way.
So if you're running against a dumb, unqualified person that's never accomplished anything in her life, shouldn't you be ready to steamroll your way back into the White House? Maybe the excitement died down after the deluge of racist and misogynistic comments about Harris only highlighted how hateful MAGA is. Comments that included her past relationship with San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown.
Harris's relationship with Willie Brown, the former mayor of San Francisco, and how that might have intersected with her career trajectory. So I'm just wondering if you followed that discussion at all and have any thoughts on that.
Well, I know Willie Brown very well. In fact, I went down in a helicopter with him. We thought maybe this is the end. We were in a helicopter going to a certain location together, and there was an emergency landing. This was not a pleasant landing. And Willie was, he was a little concerned. So I know him pretty well. I mean, I haven't seen him in years. But he told me terrible things about her. But this is what you're telling me anyway, I guess. But he had a big part in what happened with Kamala. But I don't know, maybe he's changed his tune, but he was not a fan of hers very much at that point.
Why is this the first time anyone's heard about a near helicopter crash where Donald Trump and Willie Brown faced death together? It's a good thing Willie Brown is still around to confirm Trump's story.
So you were on a helicopter with him that almost crashed?
Oh.
That's your answer, right? Okay.
He's dreaming.
Okay.
He's dreaming. I'd go even further to say that not only is he dreaming, but also lying and confused about this fateful helicopter ride with someone named Brown.
But as the New York Times points out, there was only one problem with the story, or maybe two, or maybe three problems. What's the real issue with that story? Well, it appears it never actually happened. First, Trump was never on a helicopter with Willie Brown. He's apparently confusing him with former California Governor Jerry Brown. Take a look. The two don't really look terribly similar. Secondly, there was never any emergency landing, as Trump claimed, and the helicopter's passengers were never in any danger. Mayor Brown, who, as the Times notes, loves regaling anybody who will listen with stories, said, quote, "You know me well enough to know that if I almost went down in a helicopter with anybody, you would have heard about it." And according to Gavin Newsom, who was also on that ride, there was never any discussion at all about one Kamala Harris. For his part, Willie Brown isn't saying terrible things about Harris at all. In fact, he remains an avid supporter of hers. You understand why they use the word weird. The group took a helicopter to survey wildfire damage in 2018, an event where Trump would confuse the name of the town that was destroyed.
Let's pause for a second. Donald Trump was asked a leading question about how Kamala Harris must have slept her way to success because she dated Willie Brown. It's one of the disparaging lines of attack Republicans have been telling to reinflate Trump's bruised ego and lose more support. But instead of leaning into their genius idea of running with that narrative some more, Trump needlessly told this story of nearly dying with Willie Brown, when it was actually Jerry Brown. And the helicopter was never even close to crashing, according to everyone else that was on it, except the confused pathological liar who called this press conference to make things better. Even the Trump campaign spokesperson could come up with an explanation.
Talking about misrepresentation, I'm curious to know, as the former president gave a press briefing yesterday, and in that 1 hour, he claimed that he went down in a helicopter with the former San Francisco mayor, Willie Brown. And now he's been interviewed about it, and he denies ever being in a helicopter with Willie Brown. Can you shed any light on that?
I would just defer you to President Trump's statement and what he said yesterday. The president has a lot of amazing stories from his life. As we all know, he was a businessman and a celebrity for decades prior to entering politics, and I would just leave it at that.
Caroline Levitt would refer you back to Trump's statement from yesterday and leave it at that, when the problem is about Trump's statement from yesterday, just like about every other statement from this disastrous press conference.
Are you worried at all about the size of Harris's crowds?
Oh, give me a break. Listen, I had 107,000 people in New Jersey. You didn't report it. I'm so glad you asked. What did she have yesterday? 2,000 people? If I ever had 2,000 people, you'd say my campaign is finished. It's so dishonest, the press. And here's a great example. I had in Michigan recently 25,000 people, and 25,000 people we just couldn't get them in. We had in Harrisburg 25,000 people, and 20,000 people couldn't get in. We had so many. Nobody ever mentions that. When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, where they said, oh, the crowd was so big. I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size.
So now he's got 107,000 people at his rallies. He's got crowds that are 10, 20, 30 times larger than the vice president brings in, which he said is only 2,000. Nothing says size envy like a guy that literally started his presidency by unleashing his press secretary on day one to scream at the media about his fake crowd size.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
And 7 years later, he's telling the same lies. Guess who else he's bigger than?
The biggest crowd I've ever spoken. I've spoken to the biggest crowds. Nobody's spoken to crowds bigger than me. If you look at Martin Luther King, when he did his speech, his great speech, and you look at ours, same real estate, same everything, same number of people. If not, we had more. And they said he had 1 million people, but I had 25,000 people. But when you look at the exact same picture, and everything's the same because it was the fountains, the whole thing, all the way back to from Lincoln to Washington. And you look at it, and you look at the picture of his crowd, my crowd. We actually had more people. They said I had 25,000, and he had 1 million people. And I'm okay with it because I liked Dr. Martin Luther King.
How long until he says he's done more for black Americans than Martin Luther King ever did? You know, because he's the champion of the oppressed. And if the oppressed don't vote for him, he suddenly hates them.
That Kamala is in favor of not giving Israel weapons? Yeah. That's what I hear. Look, she's been very, very bad to Israel, and she's been very bad to Jewish people. And I say it, if anybody I know is Jewish and they would vote for Kamala over me, they should have their head examined. If you think about it, I gave them Golan Heights. I gave them the capital of Israel, Jerusalem. I even built the embassy. I gave them no Iran deal. The problem is they didn't do anything with it. Iran was broke. We could have made a deal so easily. I would have had a deal done within 1 week after the election.
Is it even necessary to point out how problematic this statement is? He said the same thing multiple times over the years, and still no one's told him that expectations of loyalty votes based on another country's political positions and conflicts is highly insulting to the very people that he claims to be a champion of. It's going to be interesting who Trump blames for that press conference that he personally turned into an hour-long sitcom that reminded the country of just how disastrous his presidency was and how much worse it could be.
You said something at the beginning of the show. Was this supposed to help? I don't think this press conference changed any minds. One political strategist who supports Kamala Harris texted me, I hope he does this every day. Ari Fleischer, normally a Trump supporter, tweeted, Trump should stop the news conference now. Time to get off the field. Earlier this year, we know Trump advisors were trying to sell the campaign as the new disciplined, on-message Donald Trump. This was not that today.